in a minute.
Okay, so good morning, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining us in the fifth of a whole bunch of meetings that we are having with members across our district to help with some engagement during these really tough times. Dan is now working at a zone level with Bill, I forgot his name, just like that, Bill Robson, sorry. And he is going to be one of the zone leaders with membership engagement. So we're really happy that Dan is here in this role now to help with that. So I'm just going to turn this right over to Dan right now. He's going to run the meeting, and thanks again for joining us. Go ahead, Dan.
Okay, we've got lots of people joining. Hey, Margie, good to see you down there. Oh, Mr. Levitt's there as well.
Hey, Steve.
That's good. So what we're going to do is we're going to run the meeting is I'm going to do a bit of a presentation, and then we're going to open this all up for discussion afterwards. So at the bottom of your screen, everybody should be able to see a chat area. And I'm going to ask you while I'm doing the presentation that if there's questions or concerns is to throw your chat into there. And Charlene is going to be managing all of us. She's going to put all of you on mute at this point. And because of the bandwidth and the things that are happening with the internet, what I'd ask you all to do is, for the moment, turn your video off, because that affects our streaming ability as we move forward. Okay. So I'll be turning my video off, and I'm going to go to a PowerPoint and start sharing. Oh, we're getting some more people. Sharon showed up. Darren Grierson, thank you. Rhea, great to see you here. Bev, there we go. Yeah, you're not going down to Mexico, I take it. And then we got Mr. Clorden. Okay, so I'm going to turn my video off now and stop video. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so hopefully now everybody can see my screen. So Charlene, is everybody acknowledging that they can see?
No, we cannot see your screen yet.
You can't see it?
Nope.
Okay, that didn't help, does it?
You have co-host, so you should be able to.
Yeah, I've got it here. Yeah, okay, there we go. And there we go. Share.
Great. Now we can see it.
Everybody good with that now?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Whoop, play. So again, this strategy and things that we're doing here is something that we are trying to roll out across the zone, and actually two zones, Future 28 and 32. So we're working towards driving this kind of program forward. And I want to start with, right out of the chute, what are our priorities? Our priority number one for you as leaders, us as leaders across our district and our zones and our clubs is member health and well-being. That's our number one. You're going to see through this presentation, there's a number of things that we need to be focused on, and it's always going to come back to our member health. And that drives our club health, which at the end of the day is, you know, we're building on. And then how do we respond to the community? How do we engage with the community? And what are some communication strategies that we can use? And I hear lots of great feedback from a lot of clubs that I've been in dialogue with that we're already moving towards this, but let's start to think about how we can do this all together. So this first line is really an important one for all of us to really recognize, in that with all this great uncertainty and amplified by the self or physical isolation, with all the terms changing, social isolation, all those things, is the social isolation is what we don't want. We want to have physical isolation, but not social isolation. And with all this comes, our members are going to have some physical and mental health needs that need to be a priority. This is leading to great stress, great things that are going on. We heard yesterday from Dwayne Sauvignon from Red Deer about the Alberta Health is going to be providing access to counseling for members, for example, or for all the province, actually, 3 hours of free counseling. So again, these are things that will start to roll out, but please, this needs to be our issue. Now, none of us volunteered for this job, and this, the stress that we're under now and the extra things that need to be done. But we need to know, all of us need to know, where are we at with our members? Where are our members at? And I think the best way, even though we're doing this by Zoom, the most incredible way to do this is to start old school. Pick up the phone and make sure that we talk to each other. Now, I'm not suggesting that everybody here has to phone every single member. However, we need to get a strategy that every single member is touched and talked to. In our club, I made the effort to phone all our members. And it's amazing. I've had now 5 members, when I've been talking to them, actually in tears and incredibly emotional because somebody had reached out to them to make sure they're okay. Some of our older members are confused. Some of them have been put into quarantines, and they don't understand why their kids drop off a birthday meal on their step and won't come in to talk to them. So we really need to be talking. We can use communication tools like Zoom, and we'll talk about some ways to do that coming up. But again, I think we need to start somewhere and move forward sooner than later. And I just want to say about emails, please, emails don't replace talking. Emails are a tool that you can follow up with. Emails are something, but they are so unattached to our members. And even at work, I did a test on one of my staff. They sent me an email, and I sent that email out to all my staff. I have 40 staff. I got back about 30 different interpretations of what that email meant. So again, please, email is a tool, but it doesn't replace talking to our members. So what do we ask them when we're talking to them? Yeah, are you okay? But we have to understand the need for some nutritious sustainability for some of them. A number of them are probably going to need a pickup and delivery of groceries. A lot of them are in vulnerable situations and they're not allowed to do things. We may need to build and access some food hampers for our members, and we need to get strategies to do that. Do our members need transportation to appointments? What about human interaction? Communication, and what I'm asking you to do is in your clubs and in any whatever leadership role you have, this is not a one-off thing. Making one call doesn't end the journey. It's just the start of the journey. And again, that whole digital, and when like we're doing here, I thought it was amazing to see everybody's faces there this morning. Tricky Ricky, you're looking pretty good there, and it's amazing to see people's faces and how people light up. Rhea, it was good to see you on here, right? You can respond, you can talk, and how good does that make each of us feel? So here's the gig. Here's the real important part of this whole message. Every day, we as people, we as individuals, as human beings, we need a purpose every day to be alive and engaged. I don't know how many of you feel like I feel, but we're into this for now just over a week, and it feels like Groundhog Day. I still get up in the morning with the same alarm. I still have my shower, I have my cup of coffee, I come in, I work on my emails, I go for my walk, I have meetings, I do whatever. At night, I do my final check of emails, and then I go to bed, I get up the next morning. Our members are feeling this personal isolation, and we need to give them a purpose. Now, the amazing thing, when you talk to your members, how many of them are going to ask you, how can they contribute and how can they volunteer? So we need a strategy when you're making that call. Ask them the W-5, right? You know, who would they like to be able to support? If they ask you how they want to contribute, ask them, do they have an idea? Listen to it, record it, and figure out how we can pull all that information together. Hey, how can they contribute? Time, talents, treasures. We all have that in our minds, right? We all have the time now, but you know what? Where can we support with that time? Because a good example is our Calgary West Club. We have a regular meeting or regular commitment to the food bank, but a lot of our members have been asked not to volunteer because they are vulnerable and in that senior sector, and we're not able to support that way. But that doesn't mean that we can't contribute in other ways through our other talents and treasures. When can they chat? Figure out the best time to do that follow-up and do that volunteering. And start talking about, you know, why does your club exist? So how do we maintain our club relevance? And that's the key right now. I don't think that Rotary, in any other time that I've lived in my life, it should be more relevant. This is the time for Rotary to shine and show our relevance first to our members and then the impact that we can have on our community. We need to show that, and we need as groups stop putting stop turtling, stop putting our tail between our legs, and we need to figure out how we're going to be relevant and make sure that we can be and make an impact in our community. Club boards, what do we need to focus on? Again, ongoing member communication. How does that look? What does it feel like? Doesn't feel like an email to me. Doesn't feel like a report or whatever. And it may or may not include online meetings. Now, we're working yesterday, we had some great ideas about having strategies that we have one kind of main keynote speaker. The Calgary Downtown Club have the ability to have, they have the webinar, they have the super duper Zoom program where they can do a webinar, and they've got some incredible speakers coming up that we will be inviting and letting people know when they can go online and view these things. So it might be that way. It might be you having a Zoom meeting, but again, focus first on your members and let's get them connected. And then your board and committee focuses, let's get to some online meetings so you can see each other's faces. Let's see how people are. The first question at the start of any meeting should be, how are you? You know, how are we surviving? And the other thing is, how do we create online fellowship opportunities? Chat rooms. I'm using Microsoft Teams in my business, and I'm going to show you that tool later. And it is available free to nonprofits, but we'll talk about that. But you can have these online meetings and make it with maybe only 5 or 6 of your members, so you get online. Have your morning coffee together online, chatting. Create ways that your members can do that, right? Online games, so fellowship. We join Rotary for fellowship. That's one reason. Now, I got this idea from my granddaughter, for crying out loud. She wants to play me chess online. I didn't know you could do that, but you can. Now, our members that play bridge and do those other things, those are things that we can look at. I know the Okotoks Club had an online wine party. They had everybody grabbing their wine, going on to a Zoom meeting, and everybody's tipping each other's wine, having a chat about the things. The other thing we need to do is, as we reach out to our community, right now there's incredible need, but this isn't the time really to start something new, right? What my recommendation and suggestion is, let's talk to the agencies that your club are close to and what their needs are. There's going to be volunteer opportunities that are going to be more and more restrictive and less our ability to do. But especially with our vulnerable sector and our membership, but they're also probably going to have a lot of financial need. And what we as a district need to do, and we overall need to do, is really have a look at where we are, where there's duplicity, where can we work together to create some financial opportunities to work. I'm going to talk about that later because that's one of our issues is that, well, our money is drying up and we've got some ideas on how we can work on that. But my recommendation, just as you set up meetings online meetings with your membership, how about setting up some online meetings with your agencies, between your agencies, their boards, our boards, and our members. Make sure we have lots of dialogue. So here we go. Our motto, service above self, has never been more appropriate because this is our call to action right now. This is our time to act. So the one thing that we really need to do and somehow change our mindset and get ourselves thinking about is how do we focus on solutions? How do we focus on solutions? As a group, as Rotary members, as Rotary clubs, we need to find ways to say yes and then build a solution on how the heck we're going to do it. Build that solution using your teams, using online chats, online meetings. Internally in clubs, there may be a reason, you know, a lot of our clubs have reserves. And when I was touring around to your clubs last year, I saw that a lot of our clubs are incredibly healthy. We have some balance sheet reserves within our operating balance sheets. Hey, now's the time that we may have to look at using that. We need to change our fundraising focus. Well, this time I'd like to update if there's some of the Calgary clubs on this line that are involved in the Calgary Rotary Clubs Foundation. I've made a submission to the board of the Calgary Rotary Clubs Foundation that the funding that is typically paid out in June, that it be released to the clubs immediately, which would give them a tremendous amount of cash assets that we can get focused on and used. Now, typically, they already know what the balance is because it's been determined before. It's not going to change between now and June. So I think there's really good support for them to do that. On changing fundraising focus, we're going to have to be more creative than we've been, right? We need to actually engage the broader community in our fundraising efforts. So how do we do that? Online fundraising. But first of all, I mean, a lot of us have had a lot of canceled events, and I'm one of them. I had my Irish party that we're holding down at the Doherty Hall in the Stampede grounds. We had a Irish band coming. We might have had a little bit of Guinness being there. We canceled it. Obviously, we couldn't have it. But guess what? The people, the Stampede didn't charge us for the facility. The band are not charging us for their time. The food was donated anyway. The liquor was being actually donated as well. So we asked the people that were coming, what do you want us to do with your ticket cost? To a person, everybody wanted it to stay in. The sponsors kept their money in. And now we have a matching grant now coming from Shaw as well. We're going to have $5,000 going to the Doorway, which is a transition place for people on the street. And our budget was only to raise a couple grand before. So my thought to all of you is to look at all those events that you've canceled. Think about how they could become a no dinner, a no dinner event, how you could do different things with the program and see if we can get people to help donate. Now, there's an art auction, the Art for the Heart program that was being proposed. It is now it has been canceled, that event, but there's efforts now being made to make that into an online event where we can have people paying $20 or $25 for the bid opportunity. We've got an auctioneer who's going to work with us. He's got an online portal to do online auctioning. And we've got Cisco who are going to assist on the technology to make sure it all comes together and works. I'll bet you we can raise more money because we're going to open this up to all the Rotary clubs, and it's going to be connected to a charity that's going to come out of all this work we're doing right now. And so that we can make sure that we stay focused and we still have an opportunity to raise money. The other thing, there hasn't been a better time to think about using that Calgary Foundation portal that Mary has set up for all of us right now. This is an amazing ability for each club that doesn't have the ability to give tax receipts to create their club portal within the Calgary Foundation. And anything that we do or on fundraising ideas that we do to have people donate inside of that portal, and they will receive a tax receipt, and our registered charities will receive some cash. Simple, easy. What an incredible way to use the tools that we have available. So this is coming to the end of the presentation, and we're going to be opening up for the questions, comments. Again, number one priority is our members. Making sure that they're physically and emotionally safe. And the other thing we got to remind ourselves of is that every member has different needs. And we were laughing about it yesterday. Marlene quickly reminded me that everybody doesn't need to see people as often as I do, and that maybe some introverts need less face-to-face time. They just need to know they're welcome. And so we need to make sure that we're respectful of how our members want to be communicated. And the other thing that's becoming more and more evident to us is that every member doesn't have the ability to communicate in some of the tools that we're choosing. For example, this Zoom capability, people are able to come on, a lot of members are able to come on and view what's happening on the screen, but they don't have a speaker or a microphone or a camera hooked up to their technology. So we need to find different ways to do that, right? And the other thing is, we say, oh, they all have smartphone, we can do it on their phone. Well, you know, I think Christine must have a flip phone or something, because we're not able to get a hold of her right now and see her face in this technology. Sorry, Christine, that wasn't fair. But we have members, and I do know members that can't, they have a flip phone, or they may not have a cell phone. Now here we go. What are some of the tools? Zoom. This is the one that everybody's gravitating to quickly and easily, and that's an amazing way to do that. So there's licenses available that we can access for every club. They can have their own administrator, they can have their own license, they can organize and manage their own meetings so that you're not restricted by the district's kind of limitations. And we can get it at the Rotary discount, which is if you go online and your club buys it. What level do you need? I think what we're getting you is fine. We're going to start to use the webinar one through somebody else in the district. But what we need to do is look at those licenses. The other thing is, and I've done this, and I've got my staff actually have done it. You can get Zoom for free. So any one of your members can go online and get a Zoom license. It's free, and they can set up their own meetings. There's no cost to it. You can invite all the friends you want. You can do inside, outside your club. And the restriction you have there, it's only for 40 minutes long. And we thought that was crazy, but Martin Parnell's version, it was 40 minutes, and we were having a very intense meeting and we all got cut off for 40 minutes. So it is real. But again, that's a great way to do it. There's go-to meetings. That's a thing that we have used internally in my business, and we're moving away from. Facebook Live, all the clubs that have their own Facebook page, they can have that Facebook Live thing moving on. Google Hangout is one that is available. I don't know a lot about it. We're researching it. And Microsoft Teams, this is one that I'm using internally in my business because it allows you, and again, the software to Rotary clubs is free. And what it does is each club would have to set up their a domain, and then they can invite all the people to join that domain. And with you can have chats, just like you have text messages through your phones. You can have text chats between different members, and you can actually organize some video meetings for those that have that capability. So we'll look at that later. So we're going to end here, and we're going to have this chat about. I want to end with this mindset. The difference between what we do and what we are capable of could solve most of the problems in the world. So let's flip that a little bit. The difference between what we do here now and what we are capable of could solve a lot of the issues within our district, within our communities, and for our members. So this is a challenge as much as it is support. So now let's open ourselves up for questions and comments. And there's lots of chats have been coming in. Let's start with, okay, so I'll just go around and we'll start asking for comments and questions. Hey, Bev, you look more like somebody else there. What's happened?
That doesn't look like Bev.
No, can you unmute him, Shirley? There we go. Okay, start again.
I said I didn't realize I was on Bev's computer.
There we go. Okay.
Oh, God. Oh, you are large as life now.
Yeah. Okay, so can you give me a little bit of your take on what we're doing here, and we're going to kind of go around the table here to get people's feedbacks.
Well, unfortunately, I just joined you, so I've got nothing to add at the present time. I will listen in.
Oh, okay.
You better tell I'm listening too.
And Bev's listening too. She must be on my computer.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay. So why don't we move across? Darren,
Hello.
feedback.
I put a comment on about smaller groups. Obviously, our club has teams, and in our board meeting, Bill and I offered to sit in on some of the team meetings to help them with the technology, so it can be smaller groups and better conversation instead of
Yeah,
whole.
so it's exactly right. So again, right now, our club is using the district's license, and my recommendation is that we get our own license, and maybe you and whoever are going to be the administrators, but we need to move forward on that and have those small meetings. Yeah.
Yeah, Bill is looking into the costs, and yeah, I think we're going to end up doing that.
Well, he was on the call yesterday, so if you want to follow up with him, that would be great to
Okay,
push that forward.
will do.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Next, we would have Ev.
Yeah, so everybody can hear me, I hope.
Yep.
I started with the phone calls already this morning. I've phoned a few people. I'm up to about 10 people now. And we've given some money to our local charities, and we're planning our first meeting on Thursday. So
Oh.
exactly what you're saying. So this is very good.
And I see you asked if we could do the webinar again. We've got one scheduled at noon. We've got one at 2 and one at 4.
Okay, good.
Recording these as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Damien. Oh,
Yeah, Darren, I think it was some good stuff on there.
Okay.
One of the key pieces for us, of course, because I'm the same club as F, is trying to get our members up to speed on technology. So yeah, we're going to have our first Zoom meeting on Thursday, but that's really going to be about trying to get folks on side. And like you said about the flip phone people, we have a lot of those. All right. Part of our thing too is to be trying to maintain our members' sense of self-isolation, because the High River Rotary Club is 68% of them are all in the high risk category. So when we looked at some options to support in the community, and we had to really step that back a bit, because in fact our members are the ones who are most likely to perhaps be suffering from this thing.
Yeah.
So you got some good ideas there. I really like the idea of the chat room. I think Evan and I could talk about the idea of having a coffee morning chat room every morning and get that going. We were running Chase the Ace before this thing came around at a sort of every club meeting, and I think we've got to find a way of making that happen now online or during our club meetings. And I like the idea about some of the other ideas of games nights, so we can try to get poker nights and stuff going like that too. So some good ideas coming out of this meeting. Thanks very much.
Thank you. So cool. Yeah, Ev, could you mute yourself as well? So anybody who's not been called, if we could get you. Yeah, thank you. So Jeff Foss, Okotoks Supreme. Now we need you.
There we go. Okay. Hey, this is great. I think we don't have experience with Zoom, so this is actually my first Zoom meeting. I've used other conference tools, but this is good, and I'm happy that we're doing that. And it's something I've suggested to President Larry that we look at it. I think our challenge is that we have a lot of folks that are kind of a little bit behind the times in technology, and that'll be our challenge. But I think your first point was well taken, and that is use the phone, pick it up, start talking to people, and do so on a regular basis, because I think everyone is feeling a little bit cabin fever these days.
Okay, thank you. Steve, Raymond.
All right, how's everybody today? It's good to see everyone. But yeah, I just talked to one of our younger members yesterday, and we're going to try to set up Zoom hopefully for our meeting tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. And I really like the idea of phoning everybody. I can't say we've actually done that. We've talked to some of our members. And the idea of using money in our account, I mean, we've had pretty good surplus for a few years, and we keep saying, well, where are we going to use it? But I think this is a great opportunity to use it in our local community. What came to mind is we have been doing quite a bit of work on the blood reserve, so I believe we can use some of that money for their food bank out there and just help them in need. And I think it's just a way to look at our local community. And we can't go on those international exchanges right now, so we got to do more local, and I think that's a great opportunity. So I really like the ideas you had. I've written a lot of notes here, so we're going to try to incorporate some of those.
Awesome. Did Val come home?
No, he's still down there in Salt Lake, and it looks like he'll stay for a while anyway. So they got things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Rhea, where'd you go? She was playing there. Saw her. Okay. So we lost Rhea. Oh, there she is. Okay. Unmute yourself.
Myself. Okay, here we go.
Okay. Oh, you just muted yourself again. Oh, you're muted, Rhea.
Sorry.
There we go.
I'm here
Okay.
this morning as a member who needs the physical and emotional support. So I'm here to listen.
Glad you're here, Rhea.
We're so glad you're here, right?
How can we help, Rhea?
Actually, you're doing it right now. I just need to know what's happening and how I can be involved, and I will be involved through my club.
That's awesome. And
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're an amazing contributor, and everything you've done, how you've contributed to the district and your club and your fellow members. I know that. You're a great support, and you know that we're here to support you. Just you need to know.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I do know you know my contact information, so let's the telephone does work two ways.
Yeah.
So if you need to reach out, please, Rhea, please use it. Okay?
Thank
We're
you.
here for you, Rhea. We're really here for you and all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. David Panabaker off the cruise ship.
Yeah, I'm getting used to being home now after being away for a month. Dan, I think the thing that strikes me, and I know Margie and I, for our club, at least have spoken about this, and it's the telephone contact. We have the same issue that everybody else does, and that is only about half the members are going to be computer literate enough to take part in a Zoom meeting. And so the issue is really around that personal contact. And it is entirely likely that the folks who are less computer literate are more isolated and feeling a little bit, left out. So I know, and I don't want to steal Margie's thunder because she's done a lot of this work already, but I know that all 3 clubs in town have a plan to phone members and sort of stay in contact. Part of the issue, and I said this to Christine a couple of days ago when I sent her a little email, a lot of people are just coming back. Half of Sunrise, Medicine at Sunrise is under self-quarantine now because they're just back from down south. So the issue is really about that phone conversation and making sure that if there are 1 or 2 folks who are isolated or in need of something, that we can get them that help. Not all of us are isolated, and I think you got to sort of put it to that there's folks out there who can run around and get you medicine or get you food or whatever you need, and stand at the end of your driveway and talk to you. That's what my kids are doing, is coming to the house with food, leaving it at the doorstep, and then walking to the end of the driveway waving and saying hi. And that's all you can do.
Need to do right now. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good.
So Margie has more information on what they're doing.
Margie, you want to come in now?
Sure. Hi. Do I need? Can you can't see me, can you?
You're perfect right now.
Okay. Okay. Good. So to build on what Dave has said, a very practical solution that we came up with was for the membership committee to divide the roster between the members of the membership committee so that each has a list of people to phone. So we're big on the phoning, knowing about the technological constraints of some. And we are going to touch base with one another on Monday to get feedback from the telephone calls. So the phone calls are going to certainly be about how are you, how can we help? We're also going to use the opportunity to ask about the club in general, get some feedback. It would be wonderful to have that opportunity. And thanks to what you've been discussing and sharing today, we will certainly also ask about what members think should be done in the community and what they can contribute. Maybe just to add, we also want to have telephonic contact with the spouses of members who've passed away, and that maybe is a good contribution.
Well, that's an incredible heads up to all of us. That's a very good point that we need to talk about. That's terrific, Margie. Yeah.
Good, and just we've been having Zoom meetings already, which we're very proud of. The board has had 2 already. Membership committees had 1, and then we're also planning an annual event with Mike Christie, and we've had a Zoom meeting around that, and we're looking at the options for the club. So thanks for the option of signing up via the district. We'll get Heberbach perhaps to follow on with that.
Wonderful. One thing that I'd like to add to all of this dialogue, and I really didn't, I skipped over it, is when you're phoning your members, talking to your members, there should be an encouragement for them to reach out to their group as well. And this responsibility of staying connected it goes 2 ways, and we need all of the members worried about each other. So just I encourage that.
Okay. Good. Just can I give one very practical example to
Yes.
Oh, there's so much happening, but just one little example. We've been involved for a long time now with a hot meal at the Salvation Army, a group of Rotarians involved in the hot meal, serving, cleaning up, etc., once a month. That hot meal obviously has been disbanded because of the distance restrictions. So now the clients or customers are going to the resource center in a lineup and getting their food in containers and taking the food away. So the contribution of containers, any sort, yogurt, whatever, is most welcome. And that's something that our members are doing.
Wonderful. That's terrific. We need to be sharing these stories, and as that will be a challenge to all of you when you're doing these things. Please, I'd like you to roll all this information up to Christine and Mary and Martin to make sure that we're working on, and Charlene, because we're working on trying to create a blog that will get more of this good news out and some of the things that we're doing, so that people see that we are still relevant. And that's the
Thank you.
Tricky Ricky. No, unmute.
Okay. Well, I'm very much enjoying this Zoom session. I'm not unfamiliar with it. Our District Learning and Development Committee, and I know other committees in the district, have been using Zoom. I'm also quite familiar with Google Hangouts Meet. I use that with the North American Youth Exchange Network. You know, we're facing something that I think we've never faced as humanity before. I was asking my mother just on the weekend about the impact of this on her and how it would compare to perhaps World War II or other flu epidemics. And she said, this is, we're faced with a new reality situation here with this virus. We are designed to be in community. We believe in community, and we're here to support each other. And I think we have the technology with things like Zoom, Google Hangouts, Microsoft Teams, to allow us to stay connected amongst each other. And I fully agree with the priorities that have been established here for our members first, then reaching out to our other clubs to see where we can work, connect, communicate, and collaborate. And of course, connecting and engaging with our local community. So I applaud Zone 28 and your efforts, Dan, in delivering this message to hopefully a lot of Rotarians. One of the questions I had is what sort of numbers are we getting in the previous 5, I think I heard Christine say, sessions that you've had. I see we've got 22 on here today, which is pretty good, but I think the more people we can reach out to, the more this is going to stick. And I'm hearing lots of good ideas. So we know it can work. It's obviously not 100% like face-to-face or talking on the phone, but it's the next best thing. So we need to take advantage of it and be active and engaged in the whole program.
Yeah, I think we're getting momentum for sure. The first ones were less members, but each one that we've done has had more engagement. And what is so rich about these sessions is the incredible feedback we're getting from the various clubs and the ideas and challenges that, quite frankly, to us as leadership to help provide tools and things to help the clubs. So, and I think that this is a message that we definitely want to get across. So thank you, Rick.
You're welcome.
Harvey.
Charlene, can you put on chat the question that just came up? Did this invite go to every club member or just the executive, AGs, etc.? I'd be interested to know that as well.
We sent that out, Harvey. We sent that out to all the presidents, president-elects, past presidents. I think we also got the invitation. And then there was some key influencers that we identified within the district and the clubs. An invitation went there. We thought we'd start there to get the leadership engaged, and then we'd move forward. Yeah.
Thanks, Dan. Great ideas. I
see
actually
you, Pat.
phoned a couple members of our clubs, in like one yesterday and this one this morning, and she was tickled pink to hear from me, and an older member of our club. We have our first club Zoom meeting at noon today. I'm curious and anxious to see how many people we actually get at it. And I think I'm going to talk to Liz, our club president, probably after the noon meeting, about reaching out to our club members that are not, definitely who are not there at noon for sure, and phoning them and taking that initiative with Liz to contact our members.
Okay.
I was surprised that I didn't hear anything from her. She was on this yesterday, if you remember, and I was waiting for hearing something from Liz, but I did not. So I think I'm going to take that initiative and contact her today.
Yeah, I think pick up the phone.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm going to do.
Thanks, Harvey. Mr. Kaloran, you've got the hand up and the pensive look on your face. So
I can't see myself, so.
we can, so be careful.
Okay. Listen, just a thought, maybe moving away on some many great ideas. I'm enjoying the call, but one of the things that is certainly an opportunity for all of us is if we're going to do some Zoom stuff with whatever size group, you can invite anybody in the English-speaking world as a speaker. That's one of the advantages of the technology. We have our first Zoom on Monday, and Jeffrey Catera is going to be our guest speaker at that meeting for about 10 or 15 minutes, just to bring us some broader perspective on Rotary and on some of the things that are going on. So I just remind people that you can certainly broaden your horizons in terms of who you might want to have speak to your club. Thank you. Anyways, this has been great.
Thank you. Rob Wilson.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, sir.
Morning, Rob.
Morning. Did you have a question for me, Dan, or do you just want me to say what our club is doing?
Just kind of your feedback and.
Yeah, so our president, Paul, earlier this week, or I guess it would have been on the weekend, he sent out a list to all of our board members, exactly what you're talking about. He distributed the roster among the board just to make sure we're giving calls, make sure people are doing okay. So that's step one for sure. We haven't gone the length of doing a Zoom meeting yet, but to the other person's point, yeah, we have a lot of members. I don't know, we would have to do a lot of education in that process, but I think we should definitely get to that as this drags on. We do an excellent, for those who have been in our meetings, we do that Arch newsletter, which is like our weekly summary of the meetings. Stephen Pick has initiated a bi-weekly version of the Arch just to make sure, so it seems like we're still having a meeting and just updates from different boards, different committees, you know, little sergeant at arms, little tidbits. Bart Daly, our comedic pastor, he's been sending out inspirational messages as well to our members, just to, you know, make sure that they're engaged and feeling good about themselves. No, so there's definitely lots going on in our club just to make sure the members are being engaged, which is all positive. But for sure, we need to find a way to do a Zoom or something to try to do an e-meeting for sure. So I need to talk to Paul to figure out the logistics of that.
The logistics of that would be to order your Zoom account from Charlene, and Rob, you would be the administrator, or somebody like you would be the administrator, and
yeah,
just shoot the puck.
Yeah, it's as you know, my role in my profession, the last month for me has been really surreal. So honestly, my focus has been like every day. Like your Groundhog Day comment is very appropriate in my life right now.
Yeah.
You know, we had to get my kid home from university and moved out of residence, and my daughter's homeschooling, and my wife doesn't know what to do because now she has a house full of people. You know, we're gonna be fighting here pretty soon. No, I mean, that's obviously joking aside.
Well,
but no,
Marlene's already restricted the coffee I can have. She's got coffee, and Marlene's. I can't believe that.
So as far as my work, the commute time's awesome, but the secretary and the cleaning staff are getting cranky. So
Good. Thanks, Rob.
But the other thing I'll quickly note is, and again and then I've sent this out, and I know Charlene's been super busy with other things, and Christine, but I think the whole idea, and Rick already mentioned it about the Learning and Development Committee, I think it's great to get members engaged with the Learning and Development Center as well in the Learning Center. I think there's lots of great e-meetings that people can do using the Learning Center. And I know I sent Charlene a great how-to tutorial for members to get engaged on that. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to really jump on the Learning Center as well too. So for the other leaders on this call, watch for that in your inbox shortly.
Yeah, that is being sent out later today.
So we're gonna move to Mary quickly here. So Rob, I'm gonna do a little challenge to you. Let's have our limericks night. I think you had Mano set up she was gonna do some things, that wasn't she? Or
yeah, that's right.
Why don't we do an online limericks night and make sure everybody has their own Guinness and we listen to Mano? You and I'll work on that later.
I love it. Kate, we'll talk about that. Perfect.
Okay. Mary has to go to AHS Zoom meeting quickly, so I'd like her to kind of fill in what's happening there. Mary, unmute. Do we need to get Steve there to unmute you? Well, there you go.
No, we're good. He's Zooming in his office. I'm Zooming in my office. It's all good. Just really quickly before I leave this meeting, I just wanted to bring you up to speed on an opportunity that I'm looking at right now on behalf of our district and District 5370 to the north of us. Alberta Health Services has reached out to us as an organization to see how they can engage civic leadership, particularly volunteers that are well organized like ourselves, to help with transition of individuals who have COVID-19 from hospital to community. Specifically, I'm going to have a conversation in 5 minutes with some Alberta Health Services senior leadership to talk about how Rotary can help. And I'm not sure what that will look like at this stage. It could be bringing groceries to a front doorstep. It could be cutting somebody's grass when the snow melts. It could be picking up prescriptions at the local pharmacy. I'm not sure what it will look like. I'll know better in about 10 minutes. And then I'm going to be able to share that with our district. And my colleague from 5370, Jim Ferguson, is joining me on the call. Alberta Health Services is really impressed with our organization, with the due diligence that we've done as far as police record checks and vulnerable screening protocols, and they're desperate for volunteers to help. Keeping in mind that I know a lot of our Rotarians are in that vulnerable sector and would not be able to do some of this kind of thing, but not knowing exactly what they're looking for, I'm sure we could all play a role in some capacity. The other thing that they're looking at doing is rolling out a 211 phone number so that people could phone 211, and that would be a repository where they could get help financially. Any kind of mental health counseling could be provided through that phone number, or some kind of a link to organizations such as ourselves to help in any capacity that they need support in. So just wanted to bring you up to speed on that really quickly. Again, it's very early in the conversation. I'll be meeting these folks in about 5 minutes, and I'll keep you up to speed as far as that unfolding. Thanks, Dan.
Excellent. Thanks a ton, Mary. Great work. David has his hand up. You still wanted to say something, David?
Yeah, something that Margie didn't mention. We are still working on keeping our weekly newsletter going. One of the issues is, of course, getting content, but we've asked members to get in touch with a list of people if they have something they need to get out. So it's just another way of trying to keep that two-way communication going, and having something in the inbox that's not, is something people want to read.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kane. Oh, still can't. We can't.
Let's try that.
There. That's
How's
better.
that?
That's
Yeah,
good.
thanks for letting me participate. Yeah, I just wanted to double check.
Oh, we're losing.
No, okay. I was just checking something. In regards to this, because I delved in with using the phone as opposed to using my computer screen, just testing it out in regards to connectivity. We had an impromptu meeting on Friday, a happy hour meeting, where we participated using Zoom, and we had 14 members actually show up at the last minute and see what happens on a Friday afternoon when you're bored. People decide to come to a happy hour and join you. So we're able to do that. So we're actually going to facilitate our first meeting tomorrow morning. Our typical meeting start is 7, but we're going to let people sleep in a little bit, and we're going to start 7:30. Sent out an agenda so that we can do some club business. And then I'm inviting one of our past members who used to do news of the day, Mr. Roger Huff, who you probably know from the district website. He's going to do a news of the day from his home in Victoria. So we're trying to do this. We're trying to facilitate and keep the connectivity. And one of the things that I heard from today was also in regards to making sure that we connect. And it was funny because we just brought up a buddy list probably about within the last month, and it was keeping all the members engaged. So everyone has, there's a buddy list is comprised of 3 individuals, and the objective is for those 3 individuals to stay in contact. And I think we're going to try to enforce that so that, again, that there is that connectivity within the club and reaching out and supporting those who need the support and making sure that we're staying connected in various ways, you know, but using this technology has proven to work so far, and hopefully it will lead to more good things and connectivity. One of the things that came from Friday was, again, just a recent comment in regards to finding ways of supporting community. And so it'd be interesting to see how we come up with kind of that support network to, if there's a need. And so if someone is in, you know, East Calgary and there's a need, you know, that we're able to connect with someone who's, you know, close by to be able to assist. And that's what we were talking about on Friday, but we really didn't come up with anything. So it'd be interesting to see what other clubs come up with some great ideas on this.
Excellent. Excellent. It's keeping that connectivity. There's a couple questions that have been coming up about Zoom and are there tutorials? They have some amazing tutorials online. And in fact, they've been running a number. I was on one where there's something like 10,000 people on the training session. So they do some really good Zoom kind of tutorials. So you can check that out. Now, it was actually the cost if we buy Zoom through the district. Charlene's responded to $20 per month. That's if we know, and it's 20 for the annual subscription, right? But we do have so unmute yourself, Charlene, because I think it's a different cost there, right? Unmute yourself.
I think I know how to use this thing. It's $15 a month, and then there's the if the code works at Zoom Rotary, that 20% off, I think. But
if we buy through the district,
well, we're just adding on to our current subscription, and I don't think there's any further reduction. So I can help clubs purchase their own and get them set up like that.
That'd be perfect. So the ask would be to go through Charlene that's worked on doing that, and then that way you get the discount. So if it's $15 a month, I don't know how we can lose on that. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. So we're going through here. Oh, will the real Bev Tonkinson step forward, or are we good? There we go.
Bev, you want to give it a try?
Bev? Nope, guess not.
I unmuted both of them, not knowing which was which. So
yeah, well, I know one that isn't Bev for sure.
Bev, you want to come on the computer?
Yelling at her.
And there's also Joe McDowell.
Yeah, no, I see Joe. So Joe, you're joining again. You can't get enough of us, or?
Well, I didn't realize this was Groundhog Day and it was a repeat of yesterday's. And then I thought, well, it would be rude to leave the conference. And I thought, you never know. There could be something that come up in the questions that wasn't asked yesterday. So I figured I'd just hang around. I cleaned my house for the first half hour and just listened on the speakers, and then came back to it when you guys were asking questions.
Okay, good. So did we figure Bev out? Okay, Christine's got her hand raised. Christine?
Yeah, thanks, Dan. I know we're coming up on the hour here, or we're on the hour. I don't know how much more time people have. There are several discussions and initiatives underway right now across our district. And one of the things that came up yesterday was that Haider Hassan, he's our district chair of community partnerships, has been asked by Premier Kinney to sit on the new Premier's Charity Council. And they are going to be given a budget of $60 million to reach out to communities and agencies to help the most vulnerable at this time. So that's going to be a great connection, and he's already shared his Rotary connection. It was mentioned in the announcement, so that we can find ways to help out with that. There's also a reach out from Bonnie Larson, who is the Director of Health at the University of Calgary Department of Family Medicine, asking about the people living on the streets. The drop-in center, I took a photo last night around 7:30. There is zero social distancing happening there. They're clumped together. The risk is extremely high. And Bonnie has been in touch with the governments, and they're putting together a group, including the City of Calgary, the Homeless Foundation, and they're looking at Rotary as well to help find ways to implement some social distancing from our people living on the streets, because it is so dangerous for them right now.
There was an announcement just made on the homeless that some of the vacant hotels are going to be used to house them.
Yeah, that's one of the initiatives for sure. Excuse me. And also, I'm losing my voice. There's also our community hubs United Way initiative, and they're also working on programs and a fund set up to help communities with this crisis right now. So there's a whole lot happening right now. It's almost too much for some people to absorb, because there are so many different agencies and governmental groups that are working on this situation. So yeah, so if we could just get that blog like we talked about, then we can just start feeding it in there, so we can kind of have a central place for all these things that are coming up. Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, Christine.
And Martin has his hand up.
Martin, you'll be the closeout for what we're doing here. Okay?
Great, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Dan. So last night I was at the Rotary Club of Cochrane's emergency board meeting on Zoom. We had 11 directors and community heads out there. It was just amazing to come together and to talk to each other, first of all, was huge. And then to develop a plan for our members. You know, we have a member, Earl Boone, who is not on the computer, and people have already contacted her